Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for our project plan presentation. My name is Luke, and I will be your narrator. Our other team members that have worked very hard to bring you this presentation include Brian, Marissa, Brett, and Michael. We can't wait to share with you what we've been working on, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. The plan is focused on building a new home for a family who lost their previous residence to Hurricane Ian. They are a family who lives in Fort Myers, a town in Florida that was most affected by the storm. The property has been in the family for generations and has sentimental value. Therefore, they are choosing to rebuild as opposed to moving. The family is currently staying in a temporary space that is very small and uncomfortable for the number of people in their family, and it is a far distance from their work. Due to these factors, time is at the top of our priorities. We are going to deliver this well-deserving family a beautiful 6,000 square foot high-end residential home that can withstand strong winds and flooding in case of another storm. This needs to be done within an 18-month time frame and a $2 million cumulative budget. We will also judge our success based on a satisfaction rating of over 80% and if the structure complies with state regulations. Lastly, it's worth mentioning that our plan will not be dealing with interior furnishing, architectural design, or pre-construction inspection and demolition. Here, you can see our work breakdown structure chart that places each step for constructing the home into their own categories and subcategories. Each green box identifies the summary tasks, which are then broken down into work packages in the blue boxes. This is quite useful as it is a quick way to convey a simple overview of the work involved in the project. The project network diagram provides a visual of the project's activities. This chart will include each path showing the predecessors and successors of each activity, as well as arrows representing the direction of flow. It displays the early start, early finish, late start, and late finish of each task in days, as well as the dates that correspond with these activities. To calculate these durations, we have implemented a forwards and backwards pass. This allowed us to find the tasks that contain no slack, which make up the critical path displayed in red lettering. This is signified by the early start and late start, as well as early finish and late finish being at the same time. Any delays within the critical path will delay the entire project as they have no slack time. Therefore, it is very important to get these done on time. Along with the 17 critical activities, we can also see the 8 non-critical activities in black lettering. Some of these activities have similar start dates and can be done simultaneously. They contain slack time and can be delayed to a certain point before shifting the end date of the entire project. The Gantt chart is essentially the network diagram displayed on a calendar scheduled bar chart. The schedule has been compiled with an outline application Gantt chart software. The software allows us to display any cost or schedule variances, along with any slack or instances of lag time. Again, arrows are utilized to show the sequence. The black bars indicate progress, blue bars represent non-critical activities, and red bars will represent critical activities. We can also refer to the Gantt chart to see actual work, actual costs, or any variations of both. The resource chart will show the labor resources needed for the completion of the project. The resources included are direct labor only. The resource chart will be a schedule as well as a guide for allocating resources. It will show not only where the labor resources will be spent, but also when they will be spent over the course of the project schedule. Laborers 1 through 5 will be working as a team when listed all together, while at some portions of the project team, members will have to divide total attention to various projects. Over the entirety of the project, no single person with various tasks assigned falls into the overworked category, which would cause strain on other resources or completion time of certain project portions. The time-phased budget will provide all of the pricing details for the entirety of this project in a visual Excel diagram. This includes costs of labor, materials, and permits. Throughout the duration of construction, costs will steadily increase. The time phase budget displays what the project budget is at any given point in time. Allocating what amount of money that will be needed in a specified amount of time will help construction to stay on track. It also allows for specific aspects of our budget and length to be seen, as well as months that correspond with these tasks and their costs. The total budget for our project is $751,013, with the cumulative total budget being highlighted within the yellow portion of the Excel diagram. The top two expenses are the labor costs for activity 2.1, which is begin framing/sheathing, at $60,800, as well as the materials for this activity costing $96,000. These labor and non-labor costs make up the most expensive activity at $164,800. The cumulative budget is the amount of money allocated to complete the entire project in a much simpler visual representation. This shows the entire project length as well as the corresponding budget. Labor and non-labor materials are expressed in one total number. On the horizontal axis, the numbers beginning at 1 express the number of months the project will take and finishes at 17, while the vertical axis represents the total cost of the project and the monthly increments these costs occur. The visual shows the total expenses starting at 0 and how over the course of the project these costs will build up to our budgeted costs, as well as the points in time which the total cost of the project more rapidly rise than others. The diagram shows that months 1 through 8 are less than 25% of the project costs, but months 9 through 14, we can see almost 80% of the costs in the project occur, as well as a major jump in expenses for the project. Again, to summarize, this diagram shows when the bulk of the project costs occur, and when finances should be in order to effectively meet expense requirements. On the left, we have the risk matrix. It is a tool used to assess probability of a potential risk alongside the severity of said risk. The risk we chose to analyze is a chance of there being a hurricane during construction. We concluded that it's likely we will face a hurricane at least once during construction and that the severity of its impact should be considered moderate. This means the risk of a hurricane is high for this project. To the right is the stakeholder power matrix. A stakeholder power matrix allows for organization of stakeholders and how they should be interacted with. The organization is based on an XY graph where the y-axis represents the influence a stakeholder has on the project and the x-axis represents the interest they have in the project. In the case of our project, the stakeholders that have the most influence and interest in the project are the homeowner, contractors, and subcontractors. This means they must be managed closely. On the left, we have an example of a change request form. The purpose of the change request form is first to inform stakeholders of a potential need of the project and to maintain documentation of why or what change needs to occur. We chose to use the change request form because it is inevitable that someone within the project wants to change certain materials or deliverables for one reason or another. We requested to use a premium foundation mix for a longer lasting foundation. It would have been more expensive, would have required further research, and it also could have made us run over budget, so it was shut down. These forms are important since it makes sure that all changes to the project go to the necessary stakeholders to be approved. On the right, we have the lessons learned template. This is a document that keeps track of concepts or lessons that have been learned over the course of the project. We documented Brett's practical joke that went wrong and how he could have avoided certain outcomes. By documenting events that have either a positive or negative effect, we are able to reflect back on them to further improve the current project. Now that we've reached the conclusion, I would like to thank you for your time. We would also like to end by emphasizing that project management is an imperative role as it minimizes the amount of delays a project could experience. Lastly, a special thanks to my team members, Marissa Vaughn with the template, Michael Minervino with the overview, Brett Rocker with the script, and Brian Osiris as an editor. Thank you again, and have a great day.